Hi, my name is Barney and welcome to another video. Today I would like to give you a short tutorial on how to overclock your Ryzen CPU. And to do so, I'm gonna use my Ryzen system with the Ryzen 7 1700, 16 gigs of DDR4, Corsair Vengeance 3200 RAM on the X370 Gaming Plus motherboard from MSI. And as you can see on the screen, the CPU is set to 3 GHz, that's the out of the box speed, and the DDR4 standard is 2133 MHz. Let's jump into Windows and have a baseline results on the performance. For simplicity, I only gonna run Cinebench R15 to get a baseline performance, and then we can see how much we improved on that one. As you can see on the top left of the monitor, the base score is around 1360, and that's gonna be our baseline. Now let's jump back to the BIOS and change some settings. Back into the BIOS, the first thing I would like to change is the DDR4 speed to 3200. Now most or if not all memory modules do have an XMP profile, which is a very simple. You're just gonna go activate. I do have two because I do have two RAM modules on the system. You just activate it and set the DRAM frequency to 3200. And that's it. Overclocking of the memory is done. So after the memory was done, let's jump into the CPU. So the CPU comes at a base speed of 3.0 GHz, and we would like to change that to 3.4. It's a simple thing. You just change the ratio from 30 to 34. And now we have a 3.4 GHz overclock. In order to engage that, you just need to exit the BIOS and save your settings. And this BIOS also tells you the things that you have changed in your profile. Just click on the save and you are ready to go. So back in Windows, in Cinebench R15 with our 3.4 GHz overclock. I also have to mention this is the baseline performance of the 1700X, which is slightly more expensive than the 1700, but it doesn't feature an included cooler. Let's see what performance we get out of it. As you can see, our performance jumped up to 1486. That means we bumped up our performance by 9.2 or 9.3%. But we are a little bit greedy, so let's jump back to the BIOS and see how far we can push this thing. So we are back into the BIOS, and now I'm gonna set the CPU frequency to 3.6 GHz, which is the territory of the 1800X. So it's set to 3.6. Save and restart. So back in Cinebench at 3.6 GHz, and as I mentioned earlier, this is the 1800X territory, performance-wise. Let's see what scores we get. So our score just went up to 1558, which is a 14.5% jump up from the 3.0 GHz that we started with. So let's jump back to the BIOS and see how far we can push this baby. So back into the BIOS, from now on I only gonna use 100 MHz increments. So from 3.6 I'm gonna jump to 3.7. And I'm gonna repeat this process until the system gonna crash under the Cinebench R15. So back to the Windows. So we are back in Cinebench running at 3.7 GHz, and let's see what happens. So we managed to pass the test with a score of 1601. Let's jump back to the BIOS and go a little bit more further. So back in the BIOS, I'm gonna set it up to 3.8. Quickly save. And back to Windows. So back in Windows, back in Cinebench at 3.8 GHz. Let's see how far we can go. If the Cinebench crashes, we have to go back to the BIOS, and as it did, yes, we have to dial it back to 3.7. So I'm back in the BIOS, I'm gonna set it back to 3.7. since that was the last frequency that we was going stable. Just quickly save, boom, and back to the Windows. So we are back in Windows. I'm gonna run Cinebench R15 just one more time to confirm our results from earlier. So we got a solid performance around 1600 points, which means a 17.5% upgrade from our 3.0 baseline. And now there's one test left I would like to do before ending this video. So after Cinebench was done, there's one more test I would like to do to further check the stability of the system, which is IDA 64. I'm just gonna open up this test. I'm just gonna monitor a couple of things: the motherboard, the CPU, and that's it. I'm gonna start the stress test and we're gonna come back in 20 minutes to see what results we're gonna have.
20 minutes later.
So after the camera catches up with the focus, we can see that the maximum temperatures never exceeded 66 degrees and we averaged about 64-63 degrees in total. After the testing was done, we can see how amazing of a value the Ryzen 7 1700 is. The included rate spire cooler kept it cool at 65 degrees even when it was overclocked to 3.7 GHz. In my opinion, this is one of the best value CPUs that you can buy right now. Although there are faster options on the market, it's hard to deny the value proposition of the Ryzen 7 1700. You basically get 1800X like performance on an included rate spire cooler. So as far my recommendation would go and buy the Ryzen 7 1700 if you want to have a solid overclocker and a long-term solution for a CPU. We made it to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this short and easy tutorial. If you like this video, please hit the like button. You can subscribe over here and you can watch another video over here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Barney and I see you all in the next one.